came into my life, and the world never looked so bright. It's true, you bring out the best in me when you are around. Oh yeah, things keep getting better. Things keep getting better. Things keep getting better. Things keep getting better, better, better. Things keep getting better. Day, it's more than one day that you'll be here beside me. It's you and all of the things you do that make it alright.
Just after midnight, thousands celebrated what was once just a dream.
Gay couples are tying the knot legally for the first time in Connecticut.
And now in the past week, both Iowa and Vermont.
Cheers in New Hampshire, where same-sex couples celebrated
the first same-sex couple to legally wed in the nation's capital.
And judges across the state will be opening their doors today.
I'm glad that my parents are getting married.
Big wins for same-sex marriage.
Maine, Maryland, and Washington have become the first states to approve same-sex marriage by popular vote.
This is a historic day for Maryland.
The Defense of Marriage Act was struck down and Proposition 8 effectively invalidated, again legalizing same-sex marriage in California.
Rhode Island and Minnesota are the latest states to legalize same-sex marriage.
Same-sex marriages are being recognized in the state of New Jersey.
And Hawaii will become the 16th state.
New Mexico has become the latest state. A federal judge has struck down Oregon's same-sex marriage ban.
A federal judge in Pennsylvania. And starting today, same-sex couples in Illinois can legally marry.
The United States Supreme Court here in Washington has now decided not to hear appeals on same-sex marriage.
The court's order immediately ends delays on marriage in these states.
More than half of all Americans now live in a state where gay marriage is legal.
A federal judge has struck down North Carolina's gay marriage ban.
We're going to take you to Alaska now.
Now legal in the state of Idaho.
Wyoming is the latest state.
It's in Montana.
South Carolina.
Same-sex marriage officially became legal in the Sunshine State at midnight.
A full-blown civil rights battle in Alabama.
Now 36 U.S. states and the District of Columbia currently allow gay marriages.
In a landmark decision, the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that states cannot ban same-sex marriages.
What this means is that it is now the law of the land.
No union is more profound than marriage, for it embodies the highest ideals of love, fidelity, devotion, sacrifice, and family. In forming a marital union, two people become something greater than they once were. As some of the petitioners in these cases demonstrate, marriage embodies a love that may endure even past death. It would misunderstand these men and women to say they disrespect the idea of marriage. Their plea is that they do respect it so deeply that they seek to find its fulfillment for themselves. Their hope is not to be condemned to live in loneliness, excluded from one of civilization's oldest institutions. They ask for equal dignity in the eyes of the law. The Constitution grants them that right. It is so ordered.
Hey there, Zall. My name is Sarah, and I am the site lead for the Pride Network in the Cincinnati office. For today's hour, we are going to be talking about marriage equality. So we are going to get the opportunity to hear from some of our coworkers on what their journey has been like and what life is like today as an LGBTQ person. As we celebrate Pride Month in 2020, I want us to remember that Pride has always been a protest. And with time, with courage, with speaking out, and with fight, it has become a celebration as well. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer communities know that liberation is not a given. It is fought for. We remember it was trans women of color who led the riots at Stonewall, catalyzing a national movement. Before Stonewall, trans people who were getting arrested spurred the Compton cafeteria riots in 1966. As LGBTQ people from many races, many religions, and many identities, we know what it's like to stand up for our inherent worth, our identities, our bodies, and to speak out against harassment, discrimination, and violence. Countless times, LGBTQ people and organizations have organized, rallied, agitated, and taken action to demand institutional equity and respect for our lives. So without further ado, let's hear from our panelists.
Hi, my name is Alex Solarte. I work in the San Francisco office. I'm the Associate Creative Director for Zillow Creative Services, and I've been with Zillow for the past 2.5 years.
And I'm his husband.
And that's my husband. Am I in a relationship? Yes.
Hi.
My husband and I have been married for 5 years, together for 15.
It only feels like 150.
How did we meet? We met on the internet back before it was cool. Like back when it was creepy, when people were afraid to meet on the internet.
Yeah, back before you would call up a stranger on the internet to come drive you around. It was olden times. Dinosaurs roamed the earth.
I think we also need to mention that we are the proud fathers of a 10-month-old. We just adopted our son 10 months ago, and yeah, we are new dads.
Well, he was born 10 months ago, and we adopted him at the same time.
Yes. This is our son, baby David Alexander Evan Solarte.
Hello! Hi!
He is 10 months old. He is happy. He is thriving. He is death dropping. He's starting to walk.
Yeah, he loves walking. He loves standing, as you can see. He loves drooling.
He loves drooling.
Yeah.
He's the best thing that ever happened to us.
Yep. That's right. That's right. And he's good in interviews, too. He's very quiet, well-behaved. Loves playing with placemats. You know, normal stuff for a 10-month-old.
So my name is Doug Lampart. I work out of the New York City office. I'm a sales manager for Premier Agent Sales. And I've been with Zillow now just coming up on 3.5 years. My husband's name is Sean. We've been together now for 23 years. We met in 1997. This was before the internet dating happened. We were very active at the LGBTQ community center here in New York City. And we were at a group called 20-something, which was an alternative to the club and bar scene for people in their 20s to meet and get to know each other, social activities, dances, guest speakers, lectures, and we'd go and meet, and I met him there, and we started dating, and we've been together ever since 97. What I love about him is that he's completely the polar opposite to me. He grounds me. He is a introverted, logical thinker. I am an extroverted, emotional. And so we really balance each other well. And I think that's the key to our longevity together. And we have our 2 dogs. We live in Queens, New York in our house. And we've actually got married in 2011 because obviously with New York State was one of the earlier, the states prior to the national ruling was legalizing gay marriages from that year, from 2011. So it was in that year that we decided to get legally wed together. And yeah, been together ever since. So now going on 9 years of marriage.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nathan Brodell, and I'm in the People Org at Zillow group. Although Pride looks a little different this year, it is such a special time to recognize what we've achieved, where we come from, and what we still have left to accomplish regarding LGBT rights. I'm excited to share a little bit about my relationship with my husband, Kellen. I have been in a relationship for about 6 years, and I've been married for over 1 year.
My name is Nate Erzman. I am the Director of Partner Support in the Premier Agent business, and I'm based in Seattle. I have been with Zillow Group for just over.
Hi, I'm Alicia Basham. I'm a sales manager in the Denver office, and in August it will be 3 years with the company. I am married to my wife, Joy, and we've been together for 11 years now and married for 3 of those. We just got certified to become foster parents, so I'm doing the foster to adoption route to grow our family. We also did 2 years of IVF to try to have a kiddo of our own, and then just decided that foster care was the way that we decided to grow our family and what we really had a passion for. What marriage means to me is that it is somebody that you're going to do life with. I'm so lucky to be able to have Joy, that she is who I'm building a family with, and I wouldn't do it with anybody else. She is the meaning of her name. She is what brings me joy in this world. She is my favorite person in this entire world. We are obsessed with each other still after 11 years. So I loved working from home and also extra time with my kiddo as well. So
now I do want to recognize that marriage is not the end-all be-all for all couples or partners. For a lot of same-sex couples, the fight for marriage equality meant that they got to express and share their love with the world the same way that our heterosexual friends, brothers, and sisters were able to without hesitation for so long. So I want to know, what does marriage mean to you?
Marriage to me is committing to someone that they are the person that more than anyone else you want to go through this roller coaster of life with. And by making that commitment, you're saying that when the rough moments of life hit you and you're really down, there's no one else you'd rather have by your side, because they're going to make it easier to fight through that and get through it. And when the incredible moments of joy happen, that likewise, there's nobody you'd rather have by your side, because they only make that joy greater.
Being married has been a wonderful experience, as it affords us the same opportunities as my straight brothers and sisters. From very tangible rights, like being able to have your spouse in the hospital with you, to being able to file taxes jointly. However, even with small day-to-day things, it's also super impactful, such as being able to check married on any form I fill out. Additionally, being married holds significance for us to be able to express our love in a more traditional way that our friends and family understand.
What does marriage mean to us? I think marriage means to us terrible. It's terrible.
No, it's not. Don't even say that. No, our marriage has been wonderful. Super easy breezy, no big deal. No, it's like a regular marriage. Marriage is the same as it is for straight people. We always wanted to get married ever since we first started dating. Really, it was always, we both had big families. Do you want me to not talk?
Yeah, stop talking.
Oh, sorry.
So we can see who's the star of the show here. Like I said, we've been together for the past 15 years. We got engaged right before Prop 8 passed. And so 3 years into our relationship, we asked each other to marry each other. And then we're like, oh, we want to get married in California. And unbeknownst to us, on the horizon, there was a thing called Prop 8. And literally 3 months after we got engaged, Prop 8 passed, and it was illegal to get married in California.
But we persevered.
So we continued.
And planned our wedding 20 million times.
And then we had a lot of different ideas of what marriage, or at least what our wedding was going to look like. And like, we didn't know if it got overturned at the Supreme Court level, if we were going to get married really fast, or we didn't have enough time to actually plan a wedding. And so we were in, like a lot of people living in California, we were living in limbo in terms of what it meant for the next steps for our marriage. But obviously we stuck together. And
yeah, we were always committed to getting married. We knew it was only a matter of time before it became legal. So we just were engaged for 7 years and planned our wedding a bazillion times.
As you've already heard, many of the people that we're hearing from today were in relationships with their partners long before same-sex marriage was legalized, either at their state level or at the federal level. But for everyone, there was an element of weight, and for some, an element of fight for marriage equality. So what I want to know is, what was life like for you as an LGBTQ person before same-sex marriage was legalized, and how did that affect you as a person, or your work life, or your relationship?
You know, comparing life before gay marriage was legalized to after gay marriage was legalized, I think is a little bit difficult, because it's not like something on that day changed and my life was completely different the next day. It was very subtle but very important. That acknowledgement from the government basically flipped a switch in a lot of ways that made it just assumed that this is the way things are and things are okay, and there's a confidence that comes from that. But we're still not there. There's still a lot of unacceptance in certain corners, certain regions, certain areas, even though public opinion has totally swayed in the direction of gay marriage and an understanding. And I think a lot of that has come from the fact that people have come to realize that they have gay children and uncles and aunts and people in their life, friends and people in their life who they really care about, and nothing's changed now that they know that they're gay. They are the same person, and that's where the acceptance has come from. It happened over and over again with my relationships of people that I had known for years who didn't realize, and when I came out, they came to realize that nothing had changed. I was in the closet for years, until I was 30 actually. And I came out, and it was the biggest moment of my life. But even in that moment, this was about 5 years before gay marriage actually happened, things were societally not there just yet, but I could feel it coming on. And that's part of what drove me out of the closet, was knowing that I was going to miss out on a lot of really important things and really be mad at myself for that if I didn't come out right then and there and start living my honest self.
So what was it like for us before gay marriage was legalized? Well, it was kind of the same. Like, we always worked in very progressive industries, so we've been very lucky that we haven't felt a lot of prejudice for that. My funniest story is that when Dave was interviewing at a job, he was talking about his partner Alex, and then his then boss was assuming that Alex was a female. And then when he met me, he was surprised that that's not my gender pronoun. I am he, him, and his. And so it was just funny because people just assume that Dave is straight, and he's not. He's gay. Surprise.
Don't let the beard fool you. I'm extremely gay.
What was life like before marriage equality passed? I just remember feeling such fear around it, that there wasn't that certainty that my heterosexual friends were able to have with their partners. And it really did make you feel like a second-class citizen, that you weren't as legitimate, especially growing up the way that we did. We both grew up in Southern Baptist, very conservative homes. So that was something we were already having to unlearn, and we were already having to overcome in our personal lives. And then to also be told by society that you can't even get married to the person that you love, it was awful. And I just remember there being a lot of uncertainty and fear around that.
For the LGBTQ plus community, the day that same-sex marriage was legalized was a day for celebration for many, whether that be on the state level or when the decision was overturned at the Supreme Court level. So on that day, where were you and what were you feeling?
But at that point too, we were together already for 14 years. So from 97 to 2011. So wait, was that? Yeah, that's 14. So what it was for us, it was just like, okay, we got to do this. Similar to the way people were in 2015 when it became national. Weddings were just happening in New York in 2011. So for us, it was more, we didn't care about really as much about the planning and the tradition and the pomp, the pageantry around a wedding as much. So we just wanted it. So, we did City Hall, we went down in November and brought my family in, and we got wed at City Hall, and then we went out to a nice dinner that night. And then what we did is after that, because that was the most important thing, was, okay, our rights and our identity are protected now. It was a year from that day that we had our reception, a year later on the day. So we could plan it, but knowing already that we were protected, because the most important thing was the protection that those marriage rights gave. And to us, it didn't make any sense to, okay, let's wait a year or two and plan this great wedding while we wait to be protected. No one wants to wait to feel protected. Let's get that piece out of the way and party later. And that's what we did. And it was great.
So on the flip side, how I felt when it passed, I just felt such relief. Again, with how Joy and I grew up, we didn't know if we were going to have a family, as far as our extended family and not the family we chose. We really didn't know how that was going to go when we came out of the closet. We actually came out of the closet not too long after this passed. It was just such a relief that we were able to build our own family. I was able to marry the woman that I love.
Yeah, the day of the Obergefell decision, it was a Friday. I was working from home. There were contractors at my house because I was having a new deck built, and so I was in my office with the door closed. I don't think we were expecting to get the ruling until the following week, so I wasn't even really thinking about this. And then all of a sudden I started getting texts and news alerts, and I rushed and pulled it all up just to read and make sure that what they were saying was actually the case. And when I did see that, like, the tears came and I just couldn't believe it, because it wasn't something that I thought years before we would see. And that acknowledgement finally was just incredible. And reading what Justice Kennedy wrote, just from a human rights standpoint, it was absolutely beautiful.
Now, we all know that the fight for marriage equality didn't just end when same-sex marriage was legalized on a federal level. In a lot of ways, we still have a lot of progress to be made, even despite how far we've come. One of the best ways that we can explain our experiences and learn from each other is through media. So to you, what does it mean to see queer people, LGBTQ people in the media? What does that mean for future generations?
It's great to see. I know one of the things that you had asked, Sarah, was about like seeing yourself in media, and that has been so incredible. I mean, I was really thinking when you sent these questions and you said, where was I the day that same-sex marriage was legalized? And again, because that was in 2015 and I had already been married for 4 years, that day was significant as more as like, wow, this is open for everyone now. But for me, it was less so, because here I was in New York already married for 4 years and had all the rights of a married couple given the state's progressiveness. What was more meaningful, I can remember when Ellen came out on television. That to me was more memorable in the late 90s, because that was the first time anybody in the media was saying, here I am, yes, I'm gay, is what it said, on Time magazine and everything. And that was so influential that I think to me that was a pivotal moment for me as well. And I think looking where we've come nowadays too, ever since then, and the domino effect of the way we've been depicted in the media is getting better. Again, still a long way to go, but I think we've made a lot of progress, and it's really nice. I wish I had in the 80s the ability to turn on my TV and be like, that's me,
Is the normalization of having someone in your life who can help you see little by little that it's just like any other relationship, or seeing it through TV shows, movies, other outlets where you can truly understand what's in someone's heart. And I think that it's really incredible. The most powerful thing about all of this is that years from now, because of what we're doing today, and because the kids are growing up and they've got gay friends, they've got friends with gay parents, it's just going to be something completely normal for them. We've all still got the scar tissue from the past that tugs at us, and they're not going to grow up with that. And so their future is even going to be brighter in this front. And I'm really, really excited for that future.
So what does same-sex or seeing same-sex couples marriage on TV, social media, movies mean for the future of the LGBTQ community?
I think I feel like gay marriage got normalized pretty quickly.
Yeah. I feel like we're like the establishment, and
we're
like
no big deal.
Kids these days are doing new things with polyamory and just non-conforming unions, and just
God bless them.
We're old hat.
Yeah,
we're boring.
We're boring now. Yeah,
we're boring old gays.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're not that old. Don't let the gray fool you.
We're old.
A lot younger than I look.
For us, we never saw a lot of people in media that looked like us or represented what we wanted. And I think we were fortunate that we had a really strong family basis to make us feel like we could have the same future or the same life that heterosexual couples could have. What I love about being part of the groundswell of change in America is the fact that I have younger cousins who are also part of the LGBTQIA family plus family, and they get to live any type of life they want, and they don't have to feel boxed in by any type of social mores or norms. Like, they get to be whoever they want, however they want. And so it's funny being the older gay in my family, where it's like, they're like, oh, you just did the same heteronormative thing, got married and got a child. And I'm like, yeah, but that was what I wanted. And they get to live out their genderqueer lifestyle however they want to live out their non-binary existence. And it's amazing. We all get to do whatever feels right for us. And so I feel like what's what I want to say? Representation matters. And so all that stuff being said, seeing people that look like me and have the same dreams and hopes and aspirations as me has helped make me feel more resolved that I could get the future that I wanted. And I feel like it's amazing because it shows the younger generation that they can live whatever life they want to live, and it doesn't matter. They get to be whoever they want to be on their own terms. So I think it's great.
Before we get to our last question, I do want to take the opportunity to say thank you to all of those who participated in today's panel discussion. It takes a certain degree of bravery to share your experience, and I want to thank you for tuning in and listening to these stories. It's important that we learn from each other and that we share these experiences together. I also want to thank Zillow Group for creating a space to share these stories and making us all feel safe and welcome. That being said, what is it like being married or in a long-term relationship as an LGBTQ person in 2020?
We recognize how fortunate we are to live in a world post-Obergefell versus Hodges. Kellen and I were able to have an amazing wedding with our loved ones, an experience that I always imagined even before knowing that I was part of the LGBT community. I also recognize my privilege in living in a very progressive city and working for a progressive company and having very forward-thinking family and friends. Not everyone is able to have the same opportunities, even if they are legally permitted to, just due to cultural and their environmental norms. So we still have a lot of work to do as a community to advance our social and political climate regarding LGBT rights. But I just am super proud of where we are and super fortunate that my husband Kellen and I have been able to enjoy our marriage the way we have. Thanks.
I feel like, even though, and especially in times like this that we're in today, we have so much progress to still go for, there's still so many things we need to work on. But I think it's important, especially at Pride time, that we remember how far we've come, and I mean, when you look back to the dawn of the Pride movement in 69 to where we've come now, it's milestones, still a long way to go. I think everything comes in stages, I think where I struggled in the 80s and early 90s with identity acceptance, a lot of, my trans family, my trans brothers and sisters are feeling now. And everything is like, they're now kind of where I was 10 years ago in terms of that. And I think we're making progress, but we still have so much farther to go.
So being married in 2020 is not super different than being married in 2015 when we did get married. The biggest change is last year we adopted our son, and so we went from being 2 wild and crazy guys to being 3 wild and crazy guys that don't do anything because we have a child.
Yeah, so having a newborn going through the pandemic was, obviously the news and everything was stressful and what was going on with our families, but we were already pretty insular because when you got the quarantine started when he was 6 months old, so yeah. It was just like, okay, now Poppy, which is what our son calls Alex, and I'm Daddy. We were just home all the time for him, and I feel like we were very fortunate.
Yeah. When you have a new child and a pandemic hits, your life isn't that different. You are always inside. You are at the waiting on beck and call to a milk-drunk tyrant. So yeah, it hasn't changed our lives too much. And it's actually been a nice blessing for us to be able to be home all the time with our son and watch all those life moments happen in real time.
Yeah. I mean, I already work from home, and so it's great to be able to say, oh my gosh, he's saying da 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 da. I'm taking it. He's saying my name. And so we're able to be there to share in all those exciting moments, whereas normally we would have to find out about it from a text or a photo from our nanny. So it's pretty awesome.
And if you're curious where our son is right now, he's napping, which is the only way we'd be able to do this video because he's 10 months old and he's
actually waking up right now.
I still love being able to say that she's my wife. I just feel such a sense of pride with that. And I know there are so many people that fought for that. And I owe everything to them that I'm able to say my wife and I'm able to live the way I feel is my truth. So I'm very blessed with that. And I know, again, it was such an important thing for LGBTQ plus rights that marriage equality passed. And just so thankful that it did, because I have the best wife in the world. So sorry, you can fight me on it, but I do. So I love being able to say that. So very thankful that it passed and felt such relief when it did. Thank you so much.
Things keep getting better. Things keep getting better. Things keep getting better. Things keep getting better, better, better. Things keep getting better. Day, it's more than one day that you'll be here beside me. It's you and all of the things you do that make it all.
I think for me the hardest part throughout this entire fight was to listen to state officials, people who are supposed to represent me as a citizen of the state of Ohio, and to hear them in court arguing that I'm less than other citizens. That was by far the most painful thing, to actually have your government fight against you and to, in essence, stand up in a courtroom and say, you don't matter, you are not the same as other people, you are less than, you are second class. Our love is just as valid and just as worthy of protection and respect as any other love. And the fact that standing up for that love led to such a momentous change in our country just proves that love is a very powerful force. The Supreme Court justices were able to look at our relationships and our families and recognize that the love that they share, the commitments that they've made, deserve the same respect as any other couple, as any other family, and they deserve the full protection of the Constitution, just like any other couple does. I'm Jim Obergefell, and I consider myself an accidental activist, and I happen to be the named plaintiff in the Supreme Court case that brought marriage equality to the United States. Hey Reddit, ask me anything. I think one of the most important things for any social justice cause is to build a sense of community and cooperation with other organizations. For example, in my fight to the Supreme Court, I started with my local civil rights attorney, but then the ACLU got involved, Lambda Legal got involved. I've worked a lot with HRC. And while these are organizations that at some points, maybe they don't necessarily work together, or there may have been difficulties in the past, and not just these organizations, but this can be any organization. They all work together. It was a common cause. As far as the cost of getting to the Supreme Court, I look at that from my personal perspective. I invested a lot of time and effort, emotion into this fight. And for me, it was a very easy decision to make. John and I, from the very moment we decided to file suit, we knew there would be a cost to it for us personally, both in our privacy, our personal lives, and time and effort. But it was something that was very important to us, and it was an incredibly easy decision to make. So I think this Supreme Court ruling is already changing the US and will continue to change the US. It's one more step in the LGBT community just coming out and making themselves part of the American society, part of American culture, and helping break down those preconceived notions that people might have about who we are and what type of people we are. As people marry, and across the country, as gay and lesbian couples get married and their neighbors, their community members see that and get to know them, it just helps continue to break down those preconceived notions, and people realize, well, you know what, this couple is exactly like my brother and sister-in-law. They want the same thing. They simply want to be welcomed, respected, and be able to commit themselves to the person that they love and to enjoy all of those same things that other couples do. And only good can come of this. We'll have bumps along the way, absolutely, but this just moves us further along towards where we should be as a country. Going to the San Francisco Pride Parade blew me away. And that parade, it was long, and I cried the entire time because I was overwhelmed by the love I felt from the million people lining the streets of San Francisco, and the thousands of people who, as I rode by, who were just mouthing thank you at me and crying, and people holding up their kids and just being proud that they could point me out to their kid, and I could tell they were saying to their kid, that's the guy who is making a better world for you. And that parade was one of the most overwhelming experiences I've had, because it was nothing but joy and love. And I agree, it felt more raw and much less of a crazy party, but much more of a celebratory party, because everyone along that parade route felt better that day, and people were celebrating the fact that our world had just become a better world. So it was a great weekend for me of Pride parades, and something I will never forget. There were so many people and so many important things wrapped up into this case that we had to walk out feeling optimistic, because there were just too many important things, too many important people to let myself feel negative about it or to feel uncertain. It just wasn't something I could do. I had to walk out feeling we're going to win, because it meant so much, not only to me, but to all of my other co-plaintiffs and to people across the country. So I walked out thinking we won, but in the back of my mind, there's always that seed of doubt. You don't know what could happen. But yeah, I felt pretty good that we were going to get good news in June. I can honestly say John and I have been very fortunate. From the moment we decided to file our suit, and for the 2 years since, I've received 2 pieces of mail that weren't threats, but they were clearly from someone who disagreed with our fight and did not believe that we deserved the right to have our marriage recognized. And after the decision this June, I received a threat via Facebook, but that's been it. I've experienced no physical threats, no physical issues from any person in the United States. And I've been all across the country and in a lot of public places, and I realize that I am fortunate. I'm lucky that I can say that, because unfortunately, too many in the LGBT community are unable to say that. There are certain people who don't believe the LGBT community deserves equality or even deserves the right to live. And it's something that as a global community, we need to address. We need to educate people and to spread the message around the world that we are people no different from anyone else. I didn't have a chance to actually see the White House in the rainbow colors, but I had a lot of friends who did, so I got a lot of pictures, and it really made me feel proud. You know, having had the chance to speak with President Obama and just knowing the ally he has been for the LGBT community, it made me really happy and even more proud to be an American. You know, that day in the courtroom, I felt more like an equal American than I had in a very long time. And then to see the president's home, the symbol of our country, lit up in rainbow colors, just brought it home that I do live in a country that is on my side. And to have our president order the White House to be lit that way just really made me happy. When the 6th District Court of Appeals issued their ruling and they ruled against us, that was painful. And the ruling was difficult to read and hurtful. And that was one of those moments when I had that internal discussion. Well, you know, at this point, I have options. I could simply say, I'm done. John had passed away by that point, and I could have stepped back and not continued to fight. But that was never a serious consideration, because even losing in the Court of Appeals, I knew I was on the right side and I had to keep fighting for my husband. So even though that Court of Appeals ruling was painful and hurtful and definitely a low point in this whole process, to step back and quit and not to fight wasn't something I could do. I had to live up to my commitments to my husband. Everything you just said is thank you enough for me. And to know that you have someone you love and someone that you'll fight for and stand up for, that's the best thank you I can possibly get. Just knowing that people across our country now can be married everywhere. You know, the fact that so many people have thanked me because Friday morning, June 26th, they woke up and they were married in 37 states. But later that day, they were married in all 50 states. It's things like that that have made this entire fight so worth it. Even knowing that John would die only 3 months after we filed suit, if I could go back in time, I would still do this. It was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to stand up for my husband, to stand up for the love of my life, and to stand up for everyone like you across this country who believes in equality and everyone who wants to make that commitment to the person they love. So be proud of who you are. Enjoy that relationship. Be proud of your relationship. Fight for the person you love. And raise a glass of champagne someday in John's honor. John and I loved champagne. John always thought, champagne, why save it for a special occasion? Every day that you're alive and able to breathe and with someone you love is a special occasion. So, love the person you love and have a good life.
Thanks so much. We love you, Zillow Group. Bye-bye. Happy Pride. Boo, boo, boo. Can you talk for the TV?
He's like, da, da, da.
Yay! Yeah. Happy Pride!